Welcome back to Wedlocked and Loaded.
Wedlocked and Loaded.
You women.
Do not lump us all in one category.
So you girls, and lie and stretch the truth
You
and try
girls.
to get us jammed up.
First of all, I'm a whole ass woman, right? Think about
No
that.
disrespect.
Sounds like it to me. So why can't y'all? What is it with men that they just can't walk away?
Depends how good it is. You don't want to give that away.
The following conversation may contain material that may be triggering and traumatizing to some of the audience members. We just wanted to give you a warning before continuing this discussion.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. New episode, Wedlocked and Loaded. Happy Wednesday. Happy hump day. Hopefully you're humping. Maybe not this early when you hear it, but maybe when you hear it later this evening, you're going to be humping. Or you can hump when you're at work, on your lunch break, etc. I am your humble, talented, most deserving, most loving, most caring, most kind, most empathetic.
You got a whole lot of most going on.
Most delightful, desirable, delicious.
Okay, who talks about themselves?
Daniel Laurent. And I'm joined by, the one and only Leah Laurent. Leah.
You don't even know my name.
Freudian. Well, it should be. So, the one and only Leah Nicole. So, we'll get into the show. And I purposely didn't give her a whole bunch of things because she's kind of pissing me off. But, love and marriage, that's how it goes. Whoever says happy wife, happy life, that's bullshit.
Told the truth.
Nope. Bullshit. So,
told the truth.
This is around the holidays, obviously, and we wanted to just kind of touch on, but in a real sincere way, the sadness that looms. So when you have a whole group of people and everyone is so happy and they can't wait for Thanksgiving, they can't wait for Christmas, you have people that's right next door to you that dread every time that comes every year. It reminds them of the sadness and the void that they have and the loved ones that they don't have any longer, or, the love that they've been craving that they've never felt like they received. And so, without saying names, because there's definitely, I feel like, a few that I know of, that have, I want to be mindful because
transitioned.
Is that, no, suicide, you say suicide, but you don't say they committed suicide. You don't say that.
I mean, I guess we can just say transition.
Yeah, but transition could be like,
or by,
okay, fair enough.
Like it doesn't, you know what I mean?
But I wanted to be clear that there wasn't like they transitioned from old age or.
I mean, I don't think it really matters.
No, it does.
I'm
talking about people who are like
about
suffering and they.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So, and it's difficult. I talked to Leah earlier about it, and I won't repeat. Not that I said anything crazy, but I won't repeat because it's hard to address anyone that's in that space and in such a dark place. It's hard for someone
on the
outside to rationalize that or try to analyze or say, well, not the holidays, or don't do it on my birthday, or why didn't you call me? Or, and there are people over the years I've seen, on Facebook, they'll put, messages and they'll say something and it's kind of dark. And, Leah rightfully so checked me. I mean, I feel a way or felt the way I felt. And, my thought was like putting that on Facebook, like who cares? Because for me, social media is not a real thing. Like it's just weird, and everyone uses social media is different. So I don't really want to get into that ball of wax, but Like if I'm hurting from something that Leah does, you know, going on Facebook and oh my God, Leah broke my heart. Like for me, that's not where I'm going to get genuine support and love and having somebody say, yo, man, let's go out to eat. Let's talk. It's going to be, oh, man, just keep your head up, bro. Thoughts and prayers. And it's just the same old. So for me, that's not what you would do. However, I'm not in that space, so I can't even speak on it. So with that being said, I thought it was important to have a discussion. And, I'll be transparent. I don't know how transparent you want to be, but I'll be transparent in the sense of, when I was in a dark time, and just, shed light on that. And shout out to Shanti Das in Atlanta, who has the Silence the Shame movement. And, it's addressing this very thing. Shout out to Toy Burton with Dee Dee's Cry. And there's a host of others, but, it's really important. Also, Full Blast Booking, and they do tours to gain awareness for mental health and suicide prevention. So there are people doing some great work in the space, and just trying to have this be a topic of conversation and to take the shame off it and take the darkness off of it. So, yeah. Do you have anything to
I don't necessarily have any shout outs, but
not shout outs, but like to add?
I mean, it's a it's real, and I thought you were going to touch a little bit more on me, quote unquote, checking you in regards to people posting certain things on social media. Some people think that certain posts are for attention, and I guess technically they are, right? Like it's considered to be a cry for help, because some people don't necessarily have anyone else to listen to them, or they don't feel comfortable enough talking about whatever it is that they're going through. I have been in that place at a time or another. And when you are in that place, for whatever reason that you are there, you are definitely not thinking about anyone else. It's more so, I want my suffering to end. I don't want to endure this feeling, this thing, this thought anymore. And, it happens, and it happens to the best of us, to the most strongest of people. That meme that goes around that says, check on your strong friends, check on them. It ain't always easy being strong. And at some point, the weight of the burden or burdens, become real heavy, and they become real. And you can't shake it sometimes,
But so just from that, what you said, like I got probably 5-6 questions, but but
ask them. I mean, I can only answer them to the best of my ability.
So, do you know enough? How many times you felt in that space, and how, like, was it when you were growing up? Was it as an adult?
So, I would say, I had the thought, I had the thought and took action once when I was a teenager. Um, and I also, just experienced such sadness. And I think, and sometimes, again, like those, your emotions can absolutely get the best of you, right? And so, you can be sad, you can be angry, and like, that sadness can turn to anger, that anger can turn to sadness. Like, you know, your emotions get the best of you. And a lot of times when that's happening, your ability to think clearly is not there. You don't have that ability, you know? So I've had the thought, like I said, I had the thought at once as a teenager, and I took action. Clearly nothing, it didn't work. I'm here. I'm And what I was going through at the time, although heavy and very hurtful, I'm glad I survived that. Um, and just as an adult, it was just a thought.
But so I don't know if there's a way to. I don't know if there's a way to. What makes for you,
Mhm.
right? Because I mean, obviously, that's all you could speak for or
Mhm.
speak to. Like, what made something be like, damn, this shit sucks, or like, everything's gone wrong. I just lost my job. I just had an argument with my mother, and my favorite uncle just passed away. Like all that sadness to make it be, I don't want to be here anymore, right? And not just saying that, but
Mhm.
actually like, I don't want to be here anymore. I'm going to,
Yeah.
or this world would be better off.
Um.
Like what switches from, because everyone feel, well, people feel a lot of sadness, and
Mhm.
sometimes all at once.
Again,
And
I think
like the
it's
thing,
just.
they come in threes, you know what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
like your best friend dies, and this, if you're a pet person, your dog. So like,
I think it's obviously it's different for different people, right? Um, and for myself, at the time, I just felt like all the things that were happening in my life, um, and that has happened, um, it just made me feel like, yo, this can't be my purpose. Like my purpose can't be solely to feel these things, you know, this burden, this heaviness, this hurt, this sadness. Like my purpose can't be specifically for that. Like how much more can, I mean, I learned to stop asking that question a long time ago, but at the time it was like, yo, how much more can one person endure? And why do I have to go through this? You know? Why did I have to be born into this?
hmm,
And not that my life, was um completely a mess, right? But at that time, my 14, 15-year-old brain was just like, yo, this is a lot for somebody, for myself to handle. Somebody my age, you know, it's a lot for myself to handle. And quite frankly, I don't want to do it anymore. If this is what, my future was projecting, I don't want to do this shit no more,
hmm.
you know? So, I mean, and as an adult, I think it was definitely like just fueled by sadness. That my sadness, I mean, I didn't try anything, but it was a thought. My sadness um became anger, and then my anger became rage. And I didn't want to necessarily hurt anybody else, but I was so enraged that I did think about hurting myself. And I think that I mean, depending on, you know what I mean, like where you are in your space, it I don't know. Like I said, it's different for everybody, you know. What?
I guess so. I probably should have wrote it down because you said it, and then it led to. Oh, okay. So I remember. So when people say check on your friend, check on your strong friend,
Yeah.
right? And I get the sentiment and I get the intention behind it.
Excuse me.
But what does that really mean, right? So like if
Like
I am checking on my strong friend, is that
Yeah.
me sending them a text and saying, "Hey, bro, I love you. I'm just, reaching out
mean,
saying, what's up?" Do I call? Do I stop by? Do I say, let's go out for drinks? Like,
you can start it off by a text message, right? Yo, hey, what's up? Thinking about you, whatever, right? Based on the response, you know, you go a little bit further. Yo, I love to connect. You know what I'm saying? I just want to chop it up with you. And then you do that. And I think, again, like for me, who was, especially back then, extremely introverted, where nobody would know all the things that was happening in my life. They wouldn't know about those things because I kept it to myself. And that's the other thing, right? When you don't talk about the shit that you are going through, the things that you are experiencing. When I talk about things get heavy, that's what I'm talking about. It's not about the world placing things on your shoulder. It's about all the things that you keep bundled up inside of you, whether it's, because you are ashamed of your thoughts and your feelings, you are embarrassed by the things that you've experienced. It's a number of things. You don't know how to make conversation regarding that. You don't want to feel judged. Like there's a lot of things that take place as an introvert, and sometimes that's just the best way. I can't even talk about these things. Like these things are so heavy. I can't talk about them with anyone. And you know what? I'm tired of suffering in silence. So let me be out.
So you mentioned as a teenager, so also as an adult.
So I mean that those two, they were definitely different experiences. The teenager, it was just the burden of all the things and then not having an outlet. As an adult, and then I did try to do something. As an adult, I did not act upon the thought or the feeling, and partially because I had the tools in the space to be able to talk about those feelings. But
where'd those come from?
The tools?
Yeah.
Oh, therapy. Therapy. And I've learned, right? And for me, part of my therapy, part of my self-care, most people go to the nail salon to get their nails done. They want to be prettied up. You know what I'm saying? For me, it's I got to hop on a flight. I got to get away from all the things. I got to disconnect in that way to be able to pour back into myself. So let me surround myself by the things that I love most. And it's not necessarily distancing myself from the things that I don't love, right? Because when I take off, I'm leaving behind my family who I cherish and I adore, right? But there are also other things that I enjoy and I love that bring me a sense of peace, a sense of calmness. And I figured that out, you know? Because sometimes talking isn't enough.
I think, have you, well, this is my last question I'll ask, and then I'll
Definitely feel like I'm being interviewed, but I'm gonna answer it.
and you're being a good sport and a good candidate for once. Have you been in a space where, you know, somebody called you and reached out and used you as a lifeline and you feel like you talked them off the wire?
Have I been in a space
And or
where someone has called?
someone reached out and you like you know for a fact that you saved them in that moment, and or this is
Okay,
my
damn.
so and or someone reached out to you and for whatever reason you weren't available and they ultimately did.
I can't speak on not being available and something happening. Um okay.
Sorry, I thought it was hit it.
I have never been called. Well, I can't say. I've been called one time, and it wasn't by the person who was in that space. It was someone else giving me a heads up about the people. I have inadvertently thought about someone a few different times and called them, and the conversation, the phone call, got them out of that space.
Hmm. Hmm. I think so. You know, definitely when I was younger and living with my parents, you know, and stuff would happen. I feel like life is so unfair, and the typical kid stuff. You know what I'm
Right,
saying? It's not
right.
fair. I can't. This isn't. And every time and you know, I don't want to be here. And like, you know, um, but I used to think like it would be just my luck. And as an adult, I say it all the time, Murphy's Law, because it never fails.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, it was like, yo, you know, because I remember, you know, living down south, I'll walk over the train tracks or whatever, and I would go to, it was equivalent to like a 7-Eleven, but whatever it was down there.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd be like, you know, what
Piggly
if,
Wiggly.
no, Piggly Wiggly's a
I don't know. I'm
supermarket.
just messing. Go ahead.
Come on, yo, don't disrespect Piggly Wiggly. Like,
I'm
it's
okay.
better than your
Okay.
Stop and Shop.
Okay. I don't even shop there, but that's cool. Go off, bro.
Bougie. Shout out to Piggly Wiggly. I don't eat pigs, but like it's a great supermarket and they have really kind workers. So I would think like, I get hit by a train, I get dismembered, but just because, I won't die.
You'll survive it.
Yeah, or like,
Mhm.
I use a gun, shoot myself, and then I'm brain dead.
Mhm.
Or I jump off a building, I break all my bones.
Right. Right.
Or take a bunch of pills and then the whole I get found and then I get revived and it's just like so painful that like that pain that I'm going through is just like yikes. And so I just never but then and I think I spoke about it on here before, but The one time I was actually going to attempt to, I was probably 19 or 20. And it wasn't too long. It was after Patrice was killed. And it just was like a earth-shattering thing for me. You know what I'm saying? I think it was just so many different layers, and it was just a lot. And to your credit, it wasn't like immediate. Like whenever it was, we connected back, and you were like just genuinely like checking in, saying, hey, I would do all types of wildness. Like, I had like I had a Gucci link necklace with a piece on it, and I would just like, I remember we living on was it Lonsdale? I think it was Lonsdale Street in Dorchester, and I remember like walking from Lonsdale to like Ashmont. Young, nothing on me, not even a knife, pocket knife, no nothing, chain out, just walking free as a bird.
Just looking for trouble.
It was like midnight or something. And it was I walked to Ashmont, there was legitimately no reason for it. You know what I'm saying? It was just like, what's up? How's this gonna go? And so there was a couple of those. It was a couple of situations with some guys that, I think my typical cool self wouldn't have engaged in, but I was just kind of like, what's it gonna be? And they backed off. Luckily, I guess, for me, and luckily for them, because that could have went bad. And then there was one night where I was in a car, and I was over on Mass Ave by where Tower Records used to be. And now I think it's Marshall's or TJ Maxx. Right? Is it TJ Maxx?
Where Tower Records used to be, I think it is TJ Maxx. I think it's TJ Maxx.
It just seems so weird though. Like that's always gonna be Tower Records. It went to Virgin Records, but then, so, Tower Records was there, or whatever, right on Mass Ave. And I was gonna drive like over that bridge, right into oncoming traffic. And underneath is the people that's like driving to like, is that Worcester? Like Worcester.
They're on the what's that, Mass Pike?
Like Mass Pike. So like Worcester, Alston, Cambridge, like you would pass under that. And I remember like I was in the car, and I was kind of like, my foot was the car was in park, and I was just kind of like pressing the gas, you know what I mean, and just like thinking. And then I put the car in drive, and then my pager went off, and then that was you. And I don't know if you put your phone number or you put like hello, like 07734 or something like that. And in that moment, I was just kind of like, wow. And I put the car back in park. I don't know if I called you or not. I don't remember. But
you did actually. I remember you did call me.
Did I tell you?
You just didn't sound right. You didn't say what it was, but you just didn't sound right. And I remember asking you, where you were at. And we ended up connecting, and that's when you told me, what you were in the midst of doing when I reached out to you.
And since that moment, since then I've never thought of that again. And I think, I'll be transparent. What I said to Leah earlier was like, I feel like I have a great amount of empathy. Like overly, you know what I'm saying? Like I feel, in a deep way about a lot of things that directly affect me and also have nothing to do with me. Just on a human societal level. But things that I don't understand, and I think it's probably my own kind of version of shielding and armor. Things that I don't understand, I kind of just like I won't acknowledge. You know what I'm saying? Like, because I feel like time is limited and it's just not a lot of time. And, you know, I believe in certain mantras that, like, if I don't say every day, like, I still think them. So be the change that you wish to see. Be the change that you want to see in the world, Gandhi said, right? Mm-hmm. You know, going to the funeral, going to, you know, Miss Whitney's funeral, and them just saying all the stuff she was doing and what she was involved in. And I'm like, damn, yo. You know what I'm saying? And you think about, like, people just kind of go to work and then they come home and then they play video games or they watch Netflix. You know, and for me, that's not enough. Like, I want to be, you know, people die all the time and then it's on Facebook. Rest in peace. Oh, man, such a good dude. Oh, man, she was so sweet. Sweetest person you ever know. And a week, rest in peace, rest in peace. And then, going to the party tomorrow night. Make sure y'all come through. You know what I'm saying? Or, such pregnant. Such getting a divorce. And it's like, damn, yo. So, for me, it's important of living and making sure that when I'm gone that, like, I'm remembered and that I contributed something. And so anything that's getting in the way of that, I don't have any time for. And so sometimes it comes across a certain way, even like you, because I think we both are very similar in the way in which we feel. But I think it articulates and exudes a little different. And for me, my opinion, and you can clarify or not, but when you get into a certain space and you're thinking like you can't get out of your own way, and it just kind of sometimes just turns into like a slump. And for me, like when I'm feeling away, I'll get frustrated and I got to figure it out. And it's like, yo, and I'm moving and it's like, yo, this is it. And so right now, I don't have a lot of time for people who are pie in the sky. That's why I'm the way I am. It's taken all these years to get to this point. So anyone, like if you want to do something, like you want to invest in a food truck and we find it, boom, that's what it is. I don't want to hear, you know, the man and there's no opportunities and we can't. And that's not to be confused with like pull yourself up from the bootstraps and all that bullshit, right? Because we're systematic. I mean, anyone that denies that, I'm not even having a conversation with them. Like we are far behind. We are years and years and years behind. However, like, go get it. So whether it's driving Uber, DoorDash, Lyft, fucking Amazon Flex, whatever you got to do, like, let's get it. I do not have time.
But a lot of people don't know how to go and do that, right? And so just because you figured it out, and again, that might be based off of your past experiences, right? Like you figured it out, but everybody doesn't have that missing piece to that puzzle, you know? They don't they don't have that they've never had that support, right? And whether you know it a lot or not, you have a lot of support behind you. You have a lot of people who believe in you, you know? So just think about those who didn't have that support, those who have always been told you ain't gonna amount to shit, you know what I'm saying? Or your idea's dumb, or, you know, whatever, you know? It was never, ever, oh, I think that's great. You should absolutely do it. What do you need? How can I help? You're brilliant. If you don't have anybody behind you like that, It's easy to fall into the, I have these ideas, I want to do these things, but now I can't do it because I'm afraid of failing and proving everybody else right who said I couldn't.
Hmm.
You know?
I mean, it's definitely and you know, I'll pivot for a second, but I thought this was important. We did say before the show we wasn't gonna have the whole show be surrounding it, but I think you know, it's important. Like, I love certain podcasts. You know, I definitely have my favorites that I go to. They're not like, you know, finance podcasts, finance related or DIY related or relationship related per se. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's definitely entertainment. There's points of views. I do learn some things. I love hearing different perspectives. But this particular show, we were just mindful to not have it be a Hot Topics related show. And sometimes it feels, I mean, depending on what it is, we'll address it. But like, sometimes it feels insensitive if, you know, a beloved figure, just was murdered, you know, and then we post a show and we're doing like Never Have I Ever and taking shots. You know, it seems kind of like, for me. But I think with the holidays, man, it's always a tough time. I mean, you know, I know right now, just rattling off, there's 5 people who are not so happy about December 25th. Lost their mother, lost their wife, lost their child, lost their brother. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like, so I think it's important, man, to just give space for, and hopefully if somebody's listening and they're in that space and they find themselves in darkness, find that light. And the light is different for everyone else. The light is different for everyone.
Right.
Leah, you know, your light is traveling and just kind of being in serenity, being next to water. Me, and I've said it before, kind of in a not a joking way, because I was serious, but like, for me, going to get a massage or going to get a float, or going to the studio, or just kind of going out and driving, or going somewhere in like an open space and just sitting in my car, that can do it for me. So it doesn't take a lot for me to kind of reset and be like, all right. But if I'm gonna do that, then I don't, like, no one's around. I mean, if I get a massage, obviously the person's there, but like, we're not talking, you know. It's not like, hey, like, it's important for me to hear my thoughts, to be in that space, to feel, you know what I'm saying?
And that works for some people, right? But then for others, you know, sometimes the quiet is too much.
And so,
because then your thoughts become so much more louder, right? And in your face. And so you can have your you time, you can have your space, and be so. And I can definitely speak from, you know, for myself, right? Like, so there's moments when I can sit. So for, like you said, I can sit by the ocean, and listen to, you know, the waves crash, you know, upon the shore, right? I'm soaking up the sun. I'm feeling so close to God and even connected to the earth, right? That all the things that are going on in my head, they're silenced, right? I can also be in a room full of people and still be by myself. And sometimes them, that room full of people is a beautiful distraction for me, right? I don't necessarily have to engage when I'm there, but I'm just in the midst of something and there's so much going on that I don't have time to listen to my thoughts. So, it can work both ways for many people. It's not just one way to be by yourself and collect yourself,
But do you feel, and again, I like to be mindful of, even when I say something, how it may come across or how it may seem, but I think that perspective is important. So just flat out, I'll say this. I think on a whole, I think that a large amount of people, if not most, do not deal. And whether that's, staying busy and working, or weed or alcohol or whatever it is, they're not dealing and feeling in real time. And so when people make comments and jokes, DLs, Mr. Sensitivity, whatever, like that used to bother me. It genuinely doesn't now, because I embrace that, and that's a superpower.
Yeah.
Like I feel in real time, hard. And then when I'm through that, I'm through it.
I think that is great that you can do that, right? And it's not that. So this is, a few over. I don't know. It's been quite some time, right? It's been a very long time ago. A long time ago. One of our children was diagnosed with severe depression. I noticed right away that something was wrong, but I couldn't figure out what it was, right? And I remember talking to you, and you're like, "No, ain't nothing wrong." Like you didn't see it. You couldn't see it. But I did. I saw it. And then I saw like actual physical signs, I did everything I needed to do, got our child therapy. And again, one of the options, what they were trying to push was, well, I think we should give them, let's medicate and give them these pills. It just so happened that these, and I don't remember the name. I would say Prozac, but I don't remember the name of the pills, right? It just so happened that I had a student who was on this particular medication, and it made the child act kind of like zombie-ish, just physically there but not mentally present, right? And I was like, yeah, so no, right? Like, we need to figure out what's going on, and what I want is for my child to be able to have some coping skills. I want my child to be able to have the language to express their thoughts and their feelings and whatever else it is that they are going through. I want to be able to understand what it is that they're going through. And I want you to teach me the skills to help them through whatever it is that they're going through, and give me the language to use that will help them express themselves. And the thing is that, you might not get the right doctor. You might not get the right therapist. Everything is really trial and error, but you have to be able to, and I'm kind of switching, but like you have to be able to advocate for yourself and for your loved ones. But everything is not taken care of by a pill. And so if these people had, if they had these coping skills, if they could deal head on, but they don't, a lot of times they don't have those skills because they weren't taught them. They were taught to just, shit happens, move on.
Yeah. Man up.
Whatever you want to call it. And it's not always a shit happens, move on. Because this impacted me. It impacted me so much so, now I'm stuck with all these thoughts and feelings, and there's nothing I can do about it. Because nobody's going to understand me. Nobody wants to hear me. So consider how you manage and deal a blessing. Because everybody don't got that. I know I didn't. And I don't feel like I had anybody checking on me. And again, this is why those things became so heavy for me as a teenager. But I'm not necessarily blaming the outside, right? Because I know that I also didn't have the language or the space, like I said, to feel like I could actually talk to somebody and not be brushed off. I also saw in real time some of the shit that other people were dealing with. And took that on, right? Like literally took their sadness on and felt like, well, shit, I can't even talk to this person because they going through their own stuff. And they can't even handle what they going through. And they're an adult. How the hell they gonna help me?
Well, one of the one of the final things, because I think it's just is interesting. I think when you were speaking, my mind went to something from what you said. But do you? I don't want to say respect. Do you appreciate more of a perspective of a person who is suffering but they're dealing and they're like, figuring it out, versus a person who's suffering and being very loud and attention seeking and like, and so what I thought was like Chadwick Boseman, right? And people were like ridiculing him online and like, oh, he's so skinny and he looks sick and something's wrong, blah, blah, blah. And he actually was. But like even people who were close to him didn't know what was happening. His wife knew, whatever, and he was like putting affairs in order. But like he was plugging along, you know what I'm saying? And just and doing the work. Right? Versus a person that is like, I don't want to say a name and like put that on them, but a person is like, I have, and this and this and this, and like every video, every post is about it, and it's like, geez, Louise.
Well, that's there again. Like, I don't have more respect for
not respect, appreciate, I guess.
I don't have respect or more respect or more appreciation for those, for either circumstance, for either situation. Um, because I can understand both, right? I can understand not wanting to go through whatever it is you're going through alone, and whatever conversation that comes about via a post might not make you feel like you're going through it alone. You know, it can also be, just bringing awareness, right? Like, I also know what it's like to deal with and or suffer in silence. Again, I did it because I was just too afraid of the judgment, and not necessarily, having the words or feeling like I can trust anybody with this information. So I understand both aspects, and I respect them, and appreciate them equally. I will say that if you don't have to go it alone, don't go it alone. It doesn't make you look stronger or weaker. You know what I mean? Like, it's just a lot more burden on you. And I know sometimes people feel like, oh, I don't want to burden other people with what I'm going through either. But, if you're loved, you know what I'm saying? If you have people that love you and care about you, know that your circumstance is not a burden to those people.
And on that note, love and light and healing energy to all those who are just going through it and suffering, from loss, from hard times, from loneliness, financial burdens. Holidays is always a tricky time, man, and I get the perspective of, you want to celebrate and you want to, provide and give your kids the best Christmas ever, or your family the best Christmas ever, or throw the biggest Christmas party. But I'm always super mindful, almost like equally mindful. And I feel like it's almost like being insensitive to so many who this is not a good time for. I haven't quite found that balance. I don't know if I ever will. I think that's just part of what it is. So, love and light to all of you. To again, if you're listening and this was any sort of help, just to hear people actually talking and being vulnerable, that's what this is for. The entertainment and the laughter is definitely fun and dope, but having real conversation, real dialogue. Not everyone wants to have a therapist. Not everyone is ready to take that step yet. So we respect that and we honor that. And so we take this very seriously. Love and light to you and your family. And reach out. Even if you feel alone, you are never alone. There's always someone who you matter to. And it's just a matter of locking in with that person or persons. And, for me, I'm keeping my peace as my priority. So anything that's disrupting my peace right now, I have no time for. And so that's my advice for those who are in a certain space. If you can find your peace, whatever that is, find that. And last thing, forget all the New Year's resolutions and all that. Like, I think that's it's just a cycle, and it just sets you up for disappointment mid-year. It's not about resolutions and new year, new me and all this. It's just about being better one day at a time, planning, having goals, and just trying to elevate, trying to leave a legacy, be the change you wish to see. So on that note, Wedlocked and Loaded, we appreciate you listening. Please download, stream, like, share, comment, and we're here. We'll see you next week. I don't know, is that gonna be?
Leave us a message.
Is that New Year? Is that New Year's? No.
I mean, I don't even know. I'm gonna be honest. Like, I'm still stuck. Like, I don't really know what day it is. I'm still having a hard time.
No, we'll be back before New Year. So we'll we actually we'll talk offline. Anyway, all right, man. Love and light to everyone. Wedlocked and Loaded. We'll see y'all next week. You know what it is.
Wedlocked and loaded.
Wedlocked and Loaded.
Wedlocked and loaded.